Okay, okay. Hi, hey guys. Can you guys hear me, see me, and see my screen? Just want to check if you guys are able to um, see myself, see my screen, and hear me clearly. All right, testing, testing. One, two, three. See, okay. Okay. Yeah, if you guys can see me, hear me clearly, and see my screen, please type in the chat box so that I'll be able to make sure that you guys are able to see all of it, okay? Okay, let's wait for 1 more minute before. All right, okay, I see a thumbs up. Okay, so we shall wait for 1 more minute before we begin the session officially, all right? Okay. All right, I think we can begin the session. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another IronFX live trading session. Okay, so remember that everything in this webinar is educational in nature and nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. All right, so please remember to do your own due diligence before you guys trade. Okay, so I think any time of the session, right, where you guys feel that you have any questions that you want to ask, please feel free to type it in the chat box and I'll be able to attend to your questions along the way. Okay, so I'm your host for today. My name is Woon Hong and I'll be going through with you today's live training session. Okay, so for the agenda for this week, right, we are left with 2 days of the trading week ahead, right? So later on, we will still have the USD unemployment claims for today. And as for tomorrow, we have three different news, which are GBP, GDP, right? CAD employment change, as well as CAD unemployment rate. Okay, and then the next thing is we will then go to the live charts and we'll go through DXY, gold, oil, and any FX pairs that you guys want me to go through with you. Okay, so now let's hop on to let me see. Okay, let's go to Forex Factory here to show you guys the news. Okay, so I have highlighted the rate forwarded news, which has the most impact on the markets, right? This will impact the volatility of different pairs. Okay, and we are left with USD unemployment claims for today. Okay, so this news, right? If you click on this little folder over here, you can see that previously both of July 3rd and June 26th, it was a good thing for the US dollar, right? So we can see recovery for the US dollar. Okay, so it says here the usual effect. If the actual is less than the forecast, it is good for the currency. And you can see right here, the actual was actually indeed less than the forecast, right? Means that there is a recovery for the US dollar because we all know previously, if you looked at the US dollar, right? The US dollar actually had, if you look on a 4 hour chart, right, you can see from here, since the 1st of July, we already see a recovery from the previous downtrend. Okay, so all the way it was downtrend, right? Right now, we are seeing price reversing upwards. Okay, so this is a indication of how DXY is reacting to the markets right now. All right, so if I were to close this, okay, then we hop on to GBP, GDP. All right, so this news will generally move GBP pairs quite a bit, like GBP USD, GBP JPY, and GBP CAD, right? Why GBP CAD is because, right, the later part of the day for tomorrow, we have CAD employment change as well as CAD unemployment rate. Okay, so if you click right here as well, okay, so this employment change will indicate whether the CAD currency will be strong or weak, right? If the news is positive, means that the forecast 0.9 thousand over here. If the actual is greater than the forecast, it is good for the currency, right? Okay, so this is just one thing to note, right? But you have to realize if let's say, let me just put the text. If, okay, if CAD currency is good, let me shift this a little bit. If CAD currency is good, USD CAD will go down, right? This is just very, very basic stuff because it is a inverse correlation, okay? But pairs will be good, will go up, okay? Just very, very simple correlation for you guys to know. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the different pairs. Okay, I believe so far we won't have any questions, right? So now looking at the chart, looking at the 4-hour chart, right, we can see there has been a, let me expand this a little bit. Okay, there has been a very strong downtrend all the way, right? So far, H4, we are still looking at a very strong downtrend, right? If you were to line up all of these together, right, price is slowly retracing up to this downward trend line over here. So we cannot really confirm that price, the US dollar is going to recover. But generally, if I were to do this, right, this will be the area to look out for. Okay, so generally, DXY's target is to at least reach until this point for recovery. Okay, so what we can do right now is to mark out the different levels over here. So to zoom in a little bit closer, this is actually a very nice first support level. Okay, first support level over here. Okay, then what about our second support level? Right, we can use this second low. Okay, wait, let me use this first of all. Okay, and as for our resistance, I think it's pretty clear that this is a valid resistance level over here, right? Try to find as many points as you can, right? Not just to use this high, but right, find as many towards the left side as we can, right? So this is our first resistance. And what about our second resistance is this high over here. Okay, I think it's pretty simple right here. So we are projecting for the XY to come up to this first resistance level over here, right? Why is that so? Because price has failed to close below this previous low. And right now, price has actually made a higher low over here. Okay, so what you're expecting is for higher high, higher low, then higher high. Okay, wait, sorry. Higher high, higher low, and then what we are expecting is for this to happen, right? Because on the overall trend, right, you can see very, very clearly this is something that will happen. So this first resistance, right, what we are looking for is the break of this first resistance, right? It reacted very nicely to the support, and then now it's coming towards this level over here. Let me see if there is. Yeah. And one thing to note, right, if you guys learn about divergence, right, this is actually a bullish divergence. You can see if I line this up, okay, is about this low over here, bullish divergence with my RSI. Okay, so this indicates a bullish momentum at least towards this 97.76 area, I would say, right? Okay, so far, so good, right? Okay, so this is what we call, actually, I should label this as green. Okay, let's label this as green, bullish divergence. Okay, so this is my bullish divergence. And if DXY is going to go up, means euro dollar, GBP USD, and gold will generally go in the opposite direction. Okay, so now let's go to euro dollar. Okay, so far, right, if any of you have any pairs that you want me to go through, right, feel free to type it in the chat box here, right? Then I can look at any pairs that you guys want me to go through with you. Okay? Okay, let me see. Wow, so far, euro dollar is performing well. Okay, as expected. Okay, so where shall be our first obstacle? Okay, let me see. Okay, okay, this is our first resistance. Price failed to close above that high, so this is a valid resistance over here. Okay, then our next resistance level will be this high as well. Okay, I think it's 35 pips difference. Let me check. If I'm not wrong, yeah, 35, yeah, 35 pips difference. 34.5. Okay, then let's see for our first support level. Where shall we look at? Our first support level, I would say, is right here. Okay, this will be too weak to be a support. I would rather choose this to be a support level. Okay. And then for the next level will be this pullback support area over here. Okay. So now let's look for any feeble retracement levels from this area. Let me see. Okay, 38. But we won't be using this 38. You can see how 38 has been tagged very nicely, right? But we won't be able to use this 38 because price has really tagged and left this area. So what we will use is this 50% instead. Okay. So just to draw it nicer, okay. 50% feeble retracement level. Okay, so this is where I might actually look for a position here, right? Because why I like this area is we have a 50% feeble retracement level very nicely, okay? And as well as we have a tighter stop loss. Imagine if I were to put a trade here, my stop loss will have to be below here, right? And then my target is probably up to this high, which is a 1 is to 1.64 risk to reward ratio. But if I were to enter here, right, this is my entry, okay, right at this support level, and then my stop placed below this low, okay, my target will be, even if I were to target this first resistance level over here, right, my target is 1 is to 3. Okay, this gives me a better RR. So I believe that this will be a better trade as compared to entering off this first support level over here, right? Because you can see price has been creating lower lows, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? It might be able to break through this first support and react to this bigger pullback support level over here. Okay, this is my sentiments. Okay. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, something like this, right? I think it's better. And if you look at a bigger picture, right? If you look at a bigger picture from here, if you draw a projection, I think it's at the 61, 800. Yeah, you can see it aligns with the 100% feeble projection, right? At this level over here. Okay, so this is for euro dollar. Okay, so far no questions. That's good. Okay, what about GBP USD? Okay, for GBP USD, this level will be an excellent level for buys. right? Wait, I think this is my second support. This will be my first support. Okay, my first support and my second support. Okay, what about my resistance levels? Okay, my resistance levels, I wouldn't use this weak resistance level over here, but I would rather use this resistance level. Okay, then this will be another resistance point. Okay, see, extremely straightforward. Okay, well, right now, price, you can see how price is going upwards, right? So we need to monitor. Actually, this would have been a very, I would say if I were to zoom in, right, this would be a excellent area for sales. Yeah, but you can see how price has actually came down, came up, touched this area over here, which is a mini supply zone, or some people call it as order blocks, right? But I just call it a supply area. Okay, then you see how many times price one, two, right? Price touched it twice, but failed to create a lower low over here. All right, so you must be careful for this area, right? Try not to force a sell over here, even though price has tapped it twice. Because if price has tapped it twice and failed to come down even lower, then this is an indication that you should stop selling over this area. Okay, then see how price reacts. I would love to enter buys off here instead, but I think we might have to wait because DX, yeah, so I would say patience is a virtue. So just be patient, right? And see how price might react to this area. Okay, then if you were to mark your, yeah, we can't use the fit, 50% fit anymore because price has already came down before, right? Even touched this 61.8% Fibo retracement level. Okay, so we can't use the FIB. Okay, so what we are looking at, yeah. So for GBP USD, I would say there won't be much movements until tomorrow, right? GBP, GDP. Okay, and now we have already now it's not really in the session, right? We are not really in session timing, right? Because London session usually ends at about 5 before the volume dies down. Okay, so that's why you can't really see much movements right here. Okay, yeah, so let's move on. Let's see, USD CHF. Okay, I think for USD CHF, we can put this on hold. Let's look at USD JPY. Okay, wow, USD JPY, we missed such a nice opportunity over here. Okay, let me see. Okay, for USD JPY, right, you'll generally follow the direction of DXY. Okay, so what it might possibly do is that first we can mark out the support levels. Right, this shall be our first support. Okay, then this is our second support. Okay, then this is our first resistance. All right, and this is of course this high. Okay, we can use this high instead. Okay, this is our second resistance. Okay, so what is important right now is we need to know, since we already missed the pullback, right? But then you can see how price has a reaction like this, right? Where it created a higher high, but it broke this low here. So this might be the start of a downtrend, and you can highlight this whole area, which is this, you can see how this is an engulfing candle, right? So let me just show you a trick, right? If you see something like this, okay, right? This is the head. It's almost like a head and shoulders pattern, right? But basically creating a higher high, and then instead of creating a new higher high, it instead broke this low over here. So first condition, higher high, Let me just type it out. I think it's better if I type it out. Okay. So first condition, higher high, failed to create a new, failed to create the next higher high. Then the second condition is market structure shift. Okay. Market structure shift is this market structure shift. Okay. Then the next thing is highlight last green candle before the downward swing. Okay, highlight last green candle before the downward swing, which is this green candle. Okay, and then the best thing is if there is a bearish engulfing candle over here. Okay, I believe for those that actually attended the live training sessions, you guys would know what is the bearish candle that I always, bearish engulfing candle that I always talk about. Okay, so you highlight this well. Let me just refine it a little bit. Okay, I think this should be it. Okay, then what you will be looking at is a sell area from this box. Okay, why I highlighted this box is because you can gauge, most likely it will be around this area right here, 50% of this level. Sometimes people will want to just enter maybe right at the start of this box. Okay, if you enter right at the start of this box, you can still get a risk to reward ratio of 1:2, right? I think this is okay. Some people enter at the 50%, you can get 1:4. Okay, so the risk to reward ratio depends, right? Sometimes you have a not as nice risk to reward ratio, but you won't be missing out trades, right? 80-90% of the time, the trade will enter from within this zone. Okay, so far, any questions? Okay, if everything is clear so far, right? If any of this part you guys don't really understand, just feel free to type it in the chat box so that I know that you guys are keeping track. Yes, sorry, not keeping track, but are doing okay with all this information put in place. Okay. Okay, if I can move on. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so what I'm looking at is actually sales from this area, USD JPY. Why? Because it aligns with my sell sentiment from this DXY. Okay. Still sell USD JPY. Okay. Wait, give me a second. Okay. Sales from, how about a question that I might ask you, right? How about sales from which level of USD JPY? Okay, so if you look at the price, which is the price that you think might be a rather solid sell opportunity? 146.50 or 146.7? Yeah, I think in my opinion, okay, 146.7 right here at the start of the order block, right? Okay, so I think this might be a solid opportunity. It's, I would say, based on my own sentiments, okay, there might be a possibility to see a sell off from here, right? To at least come to this first support level. Okay, because based on all the rules that I've put in place, right, this seems like a pretty good opportunity for price to possibly come down from here. Okay, 146.72 roughly about there. Okay, then you can set recommended stop loss would be above these highs over here, and TP is generally to your 145.86, roughly about there. So you can get a risk to reward ratio of 1:2. Okay, still decent. All right. Okay, so this is what I am looking at. Okay, then USD CAD, yes, this is the star for tomorrow. Okay, so USD CAD, you can see how messy it is, right? It don't really respect any pullbacks, or don't really respect. You can see how price, a lot of people might have tried to sell over here, but I think this is a new candle, right? It even came past this high over here, right? So for USD CAD, I will tend to be a little bit more careful, right? What I would suggest is for you to just label out these levels, right? This is your first support, okay? Then this is your second support, right? Okay, second support. Okay, then for your first resistance will be this level over here. This is your first resistance. Okay, first resistance. And as for your second resistance, you can use this candle wick over here. Okay, these are the levels that I am potentially looking at. Okay, I think this might be quite weak. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I think this is better. Okay, because the reason why I removed this initial first support, right, is because the distance was only roughly about 25 pips, right? And the first support was pretty big. Okay, even though we have minor retracements out towards the upside from here, but there's a possibility that it can easily come down to the first support. So let me just change this to my first support. Okay, then this shall be my second support over here. All right, then if I were to use my feet, right, let's see if we can find any feeble retracement levels, right? This aligns very nicely with the 61.8% feeble retracement level over here. And not only that, but what we can see is that there is also a fair value gap from here, right? You can see that this is our fair value gap. Okay, so once everything lines up together, we have 61.8% feeble retracement level inside our fair value gap, right? Then this will be a solid trade. Then how should you enter from this area? You should enter from your first support. Okay, stop loss you can place below here. Some people would tend to place below the fair value gap, but I will say give it some space. Okay. Anyways, our risk to reward ratio is 1:2.5. I think it's pretty decent, right? Rather than being stopped out right at the fair value gap. You see, 1:6, right? But there is a very high possibility that price will come down and weak the fair value gap, because we can see so many times, right? The price for USD CAD has actually created all these wicks over here, right? You can see even for this long wick. Okay, so I will tend to be a little bit more careful and wait for price to come down to my first support level over here. Okay, I think pretty short and sweet. So, yeah, so this USD CAD most probably I would say would be a decent trade. Okay, just need to be careful with how you place your TP and your SL. Okay, this is for USD CAD. I think shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay, let me see what are the other majors. Okay, AUD USD. All right, let me see AUD USD right here. Okay, I think very clearly this is our first resistance that we might want to look at. Okay, then if you scroll to the left, you can see the first resistance that we marked was 0.65894, right? Then the next resistance would be actually 65894 to, let me see, 65894, more 100 pips. Okay, let me see. Let me see how I can adjust this, okay? Because I think it's a little bit too far. Okay, let me see. think it's okay because from what I am looking at, yeah, it's roughly about there. Okay. Yeah, this is our max, which is our 100% fit projection level. Let me see. Okay. Okay, this level, okay, 100% feeble projection, right? Then as for our support, oh wait, let me see. This is our second resistance. Okay. Then for our, yeah, I think this will be a pretty nice support. Okay. This is a solid support, right? What I can see is, okay, why I would say wait for price to pull back to the first support and then we aim for buys is because why would we want to risk taking sales over here, right? When price is projected to break past this level. Okay, so what I am looking for is if AUD USD come back down and touch this first support level, aiming to close above this first support level, then what I'll be looking at is to look for buys. Okay, so stop loss below here, TP 1:1, right? Ultimately, what we are looking at is at least 1:3. Okay, this could be my final targets. Okay, but ideally, let's see if AUD USD will actually come down here and go towards this first resistance level. Right now, if you look at H1, I think price might come down to this level over here, right? Green box, okay. Possibility for price to come down to this level and then you can take buys, okay. But if we look at H4, H4 candle hasn't closed yet, so I can't draw a fib, right? But if you look at how price action is, and this could be a nice pullback zone for you to buy from, okay. Okay, so let's move on to NZD USD. Okay, so for NZD USD, let's see. Okay, I think funny thing is you can see how price broke through already, right? But what we're looking at for NZD USD, right? It hasn't broke through any levels here. Okay, so this might be our first resistance. Okay, then our second resistance is this high. Okay, then what we are looking at is this is our first support. Okay, then this is our second support. Then you can use this low, yeah, I think it's fine. Okay, so what I am looking at is for price to, we can take short-term buys, is fine. For price to come down as well, right? You put your stops below here, your target is, final target right over at your second resistance, but first target is to place it at your first resistance level. But so far from what I'm looking at is that price might come down from this first resistance level. Okay, because there is a very nice pullback resistance level from here, right, for NCD USD to actually come down even lower. Okay, so if you look at AUD USD, yeah. Okay, so just be careful with these two trades. I would say if you just monitor these two trades, right? If price actually do come back down to this first support level, um, yeah, see which one will be a better trade for you guys. Okay. Mm. Okay, so far, any questions? If no questions, I can move on to commodities, right? If you guys have no questions, simple enough, right? Just give me a thumbs up. then I can move on to the commodities. Okay, simple to understand, right? Okay, then the next thing, commodities. Let's take a look at oil, right? Recently, oil actually reached a high of $75 per barrel for WTI crude oil, right? But from here, what can we see? Is there any opportunities that might turn around for oil, right? There are, because you can see right here, we have a very nice support level over here, and price has failed to break past this support level, right? So there is a chance for price to continue upwards from here. Okay, then if you were to put, let me see. Wow, this is a extremely nice second support level. Okay, so if you were to look at the second support level that I've marked out, right, 63.39, right? Price has tapped it so many times, right? It's a very reliable support, right? First support, not so reliable, even though price has been hovering above here as a overlap support level, right? But there's a possibility for price to at least come back up to $68 per barrel, and then the next target is possibly another pullback resistance level at $72. Okay, so this is what I might be looking at. And if you were to draw the fib, right, you can draw one here. I think it's roughly at about 38. Yeah, 38.2% Fibo retracement level. Okay, and then you can see, if I'm not wrong, projection has been completed already. Let me see. 61. I think it's 61. Yeah. This level, extremely nice level for you to buy from. Okay. And then we could have a rather tight stop loss as well, right? Just place it slightly below here. Okay. And then your target is this high, right? Because what we are expecting right now is the recovery of oil to at least close up all these gaps over here. You can see all these gaps over here, right? Price is bound to close this gap sooner or later, right? So what we are looking at is for any opportunities for price to come back up all the way to at least fill these gaps. Okay, pretty straightforward, yeah, right? And you can see once, if you go to H1, you can see there is a lot of consolidation, right? And then for oil, once we have such a consolidation right here, right? Generally, it will tend to break out of this consolidation zone, right? Generally, but not always. Okay, so this is something that I am looking at. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward for all these oil, right? All these commodities, we always have such patterns, right? A lot of people say that patterns don't work and stuff like that. But once you align everything together, there is no way that price don't create such coincidental patterns, right? We have 61.8% Fibo retrace, 61.8% Fibo projection, right, for price to come back down here, right? And then 38.2% Fibo retracement for price, which acts, these two acting together acts as Fibo confluence, okay, for price to come back up at least to this high. Okay, so I think it's a pretty straightforward trade. Right, anyways, you're risking a lesser amount to earn uh, a greater amount. So I think it's a decent risk to reward ratio, right? Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, here's the fun part. What about gold? Okay, gold so far, I think, from my perspective, right? Gold has been creating lower lows. You can see right here, created the first lower low, right? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, possibly creating a lower low to take out this area over here. Okay, this is a very attractive equal lows. You can see how price created such a nice equal low over here, right? So there is a possibility for price to take out these two lows. But where is an opportunity that price can take out? Right, I would say not on the H4, but possibly, oh wait, possibly on the H. Let me see. Okay, first resistance. First resistance over here, then second resistance at these highs. Okay, then what about our support? A support can start from here. This is our first support. And then our second support is this equal lows over here. Okay, this is our second support. Okay, so we can see right here, any gaps? Let me see, low break. Okay, let's see. Oh, we can't do projection. Let me see. Okay, this level. Okay, so far price is already reacting to this supply zone over here. Okay, let's mark this as our supply zone, right? Then if you go to H1, let's see if H1 presents any opportunity for us. Okay, if you go to H1, right, what I will look at, how I will refine it a little bit more is this area over here. Why I would like this area, okay, is because there is an there is three consecutive bearish candles over here, right? Then usually I will take the last upward movements before this three bearish candle movement. And this was when there was there was a change in market structure. Okay, so I will use this last word upward movement. Okay, and so far price has really reacted, trying to close below. So let's see for the next 1 hour, right? Well, price has really gone down by 50 pips. Okay, so I would suggest let's see how price will react in New York session. Okay, New York session is in about 4 hours. Okay, roughly about 4 hours, right, before we reach New York session. Okay, so let's see how price. Let's take a look at the 4 hour candle later on, right? Because it's exactly 4 hours to New York time zone. Right, and from here, let's see how price closes. If price closes below, then what you want to look for is, let me show you a little trick, right? What you want to look for is, you see, this is a danger zone, okay? Price has been creating higher highs and higher lows on the lower time frame, on the 50-minute time frame, right? A lot of buyers will come in now, right? This level is where a lot of buyers will come in. Right? I'm sure that you guys have noticed it quite a lot, right? A lot of players will come in and their target is to target this high over here. Okay, this is their short-term buys for a longer-term sell. Okay, so they are buying to sell. Okay, so what you are waiting for is we don't want to be hasty. We want to look for any sell opportunities right about this area. 3394. Okay, if 3394 price comes here, let's see. Okay, 3394, look for shorts. Right, stop loss above this high. You are targeting at least this low over here. Or even better, right here. This could be a record trade for you guys. Okay, because on the higher time frame, our narrative is still sells, right? Even though price touch here came down 50 pips already, but I think there might be a possibility for price to come back a little bit closer to our middle of our supply zone. Okay, then we look for sells. Okay, so far, any questions? Are you guys confused anywhere? Feel free to ask. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Hey, Cleon. Long time no see, man. Okay. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask, okay? Because I don't want you guys to be lost also. Okay. I think the number one thing that a lot of people who get stuck at, right, is they don't follow market structure. Okay. So the higher time frame narrative, right, is always looking at the most recent trends. You see, break, 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 right? All the lows being broken. Then look for sells, right? Don't look for buys. Okay, I mean this is a very nice buy. Honestly, this anybody that caught these buys here is excellent, right? Because we see market structure shift, price close above, we use this last downward movement. Okay, very, very simple stuff. Okay, but this gives us better confidence for these cells over here. Why? Break once, twice, and thrice. Oh, my tree is ugly. Okay, three times. Okay, one, two, three. Break three times. Find the last upward movement, which was here, right? This is a supply zone. Go to 1 hour. Go to 1 hour. How you refine is you can, instead of removing this, you can draw a smaller one here. Yeah, you can draw a smaller one here. This is to refine a little bit more. Okay. I know there are a lot of boxes, right? Just try to focus as much as you can. Okay. You see how price actually tapped this area and came down, right? Yeah. So I think it's pretty straightforward. But this could just be, if you look, then you go to 15 minutes. I don't remove this, you go to 15 minutes. Literally touch on the spot. I don't lie to you. You can look at how it touched on the spot, right? I just draw. I didn't even look, right? You can see how price, you take the last hour movement, right? Then price actually reacted off here. But a lot of buyers will come in here. Why? If a lot of scalpers will come in here. 5 minute, 15 minute bullish, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hour bearish. Okay. If you just for reference, right? Investing.com. Okay. Let me just show you they go here. Okay, let me remove this. You go to Go. Okay, you go to Go, investing.com. You go to Go, right? There you go to technical. Okay, go to technical. Then you see here, 30-minute buy, hourly buy. Okay, why they say buy? Because a lot of people are entering buys over here. React to fair value gap, react to fair value gap. A lot of people are entering buys. That's why I say don't be hasty, right? Take a look at what others are doing, right? You can see all of this here. RSI buy, stochastic buy, MACD buy, right? So don't sell first, okay? Don't sell first, right? Once price comes into 50% of your zone, then you can start to sell. Or if price creates something like this, right? If price don't break this high, price continues to do something like this. Just an example, okay? Yeah, this is an example. First break below, don't enter sales first. Second break, then you look for sales. I know sometimes it takes a lot of time, right? So I would like to focus on the higher time frame instead. Okay, so what I will do is focus on higher time frame, refine a little bit more, go H1, find a smaller zone. Okay, then you highlight these two zones, right? Delete the bigger one. Okay, then use 50%, which is about 3.34, right? 3.34, enter. This is your, this is your, then go for 1:3. I think pretty straightforward. Okay, or if not, if you guys can tahan, right? If you guys can endure, right? Then go for the first low here. Okay, this is what you could be looking at. Okay, I think pretty straightforward. Oh. Wow, Cleon, don't say this kind of thing, man. I always wear nice. Okay. I think it's yeah, very, very straightforward for gold. Okay. Any questions? Oh, okay. I think since we have like some more time, let me go through okay, let me go through Bitcoin, okay? Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday created a new all-time high, right? Yesterday, I think today morning. Yesterday? Yeah, might be yesterday or today morning, right? Price created an all-time high over here, right? 112,000 USD. Okay, so for Bitcoin, right? If we are on a H4, okay, so what we could be looking at is we can see any buy opportunities for the pullback. Okay, I think these are very, very beautiful pullbacks for you guys to enter from. Right? Stop focusing on selling, but focusing on catching the trend. Okay, we can ignore drawing the second resistance because price hasn't created a new high here. Okay, but let me see. Okay, 71, 71. Okay, let me see daily. Daily not clean. Okay, daily is not clean. Let's not use that. Okay, then another first support level you can put is right here. So 110, 109, I think are pretty nice short-term buys. Okay, then these are the ones that we can look at. Because if you draw a fib, right? A lot of people say, hey, Fibo don't work on BTC. Who say it don't work on BTC? Right? Even fair value can works on BTC. Right? So long as you be focused and stick to the same strategy all the time, you'll definitely see that it works. Okay, so 38.2 and then I think we'll just stick to this 38.2, right? Because if for our second support, it doesn't really line up with 61, right? It's slightly below. Okay, so I think this is okay, right? Then what you could be using would be also, I think there is a projection, right? Sometimes, okay, sorry, sometimes there's a lot of lines. Uh, I think it's 78. Yeah. So you can see 78.6% Fibo projection plus 38.2% Fibo retracement. These two together, right, could act as a very nice Fibo confluence for you guys. Okay, for it to have a nice reaction towards the upside. Okay, so this is something that I am looking at as well. Okay, so far, any questions? I think these are the only trades that I'm looking at. Everything else is either at you can see US 30. I don't really like we missed a sell already here, so I wouldn't. Yeah, this would have been very nice pullback. This is such a nice pullback because you can see how it reacted to this high already, right? Came down, and then what you can see if you go to H4, right? H4 created a lower low, right? First reaction, okay, not a bad idea to sell. Okay, you can see H4, this is for US 30, right? US 30 sometimes it's like gold on steroids, right? It moves like gold, right? Very, very fast. Okay. And once it follows a trend, right, it never really stops. So you will have to be quite careful with US 30. Okay. Don't fall into the trap of wanting to uh enter off all these exciting trades. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, so the next level that you can look at is this second support level over here. I think it's pretty nice, right? Create another break past, but you might have to wait for a while. Price might not be that quick to break past these lows. Okay, so I think this is quite okay for US 30. Or ETH. Okay, ETH. Or ETH also, I don't really trade. The reason why I don't really trade ETH, right? Because it takes quite long just to have a very nice breakout. But you can see sometimes, right? It reacts super nicely to H4 fair value gaps. I'm not gonna lie. Very, very beautiful. You can see how it reacts very nicely. And if there is a 61.8% Fibo retracement inside, I tell you, Fibo plus Fibo plus fair value gap together. You see on the dot, I just draw on the dot, right? Clear on, you can see how clearly it works. I never even look at ETH one, but you can see 61.8% inside my fair value gap. Okay, once I see these two together, so long as it closes above 50% of my fair value gap, I will enter. Okay, this is something that you guys can learn also. All right, I think it's pretty straightforward. Not a lot of people will tell you all of this, right? A lot of people just use what? Make it confusing, smart money concept. You don't need to know all this. You only need to know a few things. Market structure, FIBO, fair value gap, done. Right? That's the only few things that you need to know. Market structure, very, very important. I think it's the number one thing that you have to practice. You practice how to see on the bigger picture. Okay? Then second resistance, I think is here. Let me take a look. Yeah, very, very nicely. Let me refine a little bit. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay, then for our first support, I think here, this is nice. First support. And then second support a little bit too close. Initially, my second support I wanted to put it here, but I think ETH don't move as fast, so you can put it here. I think it's okay, so long as we trade within these areas. Hmm. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this makes more sense. Okay. Yeah, this makes a little bit more sense. I don't think price is gonna come down anytime soon. Please come down. What a nice breakout, you know. What a beautiful breakout. Yeah, let me see. It. What a nice breakout, you know. Okay. Yeah. I will only enter buys. I won't take any sells. Right, ETH still got potential to buy. Right, BTC all-time high, we're not super confident. But of course, this level with Fibo Confluence, I would say is confident. I'm confident about this trade. Okay. But for ETH, ETH, okay. I don't really trade a lot of ETH. I don't really have a lot of ETH trades. So I would say, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any last questions before I end off the session? Okay. Thank you guys for joining in for today's session yet again. I think it's been quite a while since I do another live trading session for IronFX, right? But I'm glad to be here today to share with you guys a little bit more on all these pairs, right? Crypto, all the majors as well as commodities, what you can look out for this coming week ahead. Oh, cause I'm busy with something else. Yeah. So I never really do webinar on Thursday. Yeah. Cleo, you miss me, right? Oh, no lah. No, 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 no. I wish I could go on a 1 month holiday, right? But couldn't go for so long. Yeah. Yeah. Cleo, I know you miss me. Yes, but thank you guys for joining in for today's webinar again. Okay. I hope that you guys have took away a lot of things, right? Yeah, and learn something new. If not something new, right? Maybe something that I did value add to you guys. Okay. So thank Thank you for joining in for today's session yet again, and I shall see you guys next time. Okay, bye bye. Yes, of course, I'll try to do more webinars for you guys as well. Okay. Yeah, take care and stay safe and trade safe. All right, see you guys next time. Bye bye.